Magnus and Vincent didn't want to be going over why Mike Pence could be a potentially great candidate for the Republican Party moving forward to replace Donald Trump as he does announce an election plan. Trump is not showing any signs of support of Mike Pence, and once you take Donald Trump off that 2024 candidate list, Mike Pence is always right behind when it comes to approval rating. He's 10 points more popular than Trump. Trump is 14 points behind. Mike Pence is only 4. So, in general, Donald Trump is a lot more favored to win the election than Mike Pence. Moving on, even if Mike Pence did actually run in 2016, he might not have appealed to voters in the Rust Belt. And Mike Pence's winning strategy is not going to be through the Rust Belt. That's not his plan, and that's not how he's going to win. Because Mike Pence is not going to win through the Rust Belt. Mike Pence is not favored to win the Rust Belt. Mike Pence doesn't have the best shot at winning the Rust Belt. His approval rating in the Rust Belt doesn't remain very high, so he's going to make a better shot. He's not going to. The only time the Republican Party can really win the Rust Belt now is with Donald Trump, and Donald Trump didn't win it. So in general, the Rust Belt is going to stay blue until we do see another red wave coming in 2028 or 2032. But right now, the Rust Belt remains blue, and I'm going to characterize it as blue. It can show you how Mike Pence can find another strategy to win the election without the Rust Belt. So yeah, Mike Pence is going to try to win the election without winning the Rust Belt. And, it really is only the best shot for Mike Pence. Because if he doesn't, if he doesn't do the strategy and doesn't implement the strategy, he's not going to be able to win over voters. Because Mike Pence is not favored to win over the Rust Belt. He has to go over another strategy. And this is Mike Pence's plan in the 2024 election. And he has to find a specific way to win the election without winning the Rust Belt. So right now, I'm going to characterize Mike Pence as winning Ohio and Iowa. He needs to carry these states. These are key states that he needs to win. He definitely has to win these states, Iowa and Ohio. And in order to make sure, he wins, he has to take Texas. He has to win Texas. Texas has been shifting blue, but Mike Pence can, just like Donald Trump did. I think Mike Pence could win over voters in Texas. Maybe not as Trump did in 2016 over the Rust Belt, but he can win over these voters in Texas. So I'm going to characterize the Rust Belt as all blue, and I'm going to also characterize as Virginia, Colorado, and New Mexico blue. I don't know what the margin is, but I'm going to characterize these as blue. And this is Mike Pence's election race is going to be a close race. It's going to be a really close race because in order for Mike Pence to win the election without the Rust Belt, you're not going to be able to win a landslide election without winning the Rust Belt. Unless you win California, which is not going to happen. He also needs to, he needs to improve his areas in Ohio and Iowa, which are shifting to the right, not too difficult. Texas is very difficult for Mike Pence because it's shifted to the left. He needs to campaign here. This is a key race he needs to win. Florida, 31 electoral votes. Trump carried the state. Mike Pence is not as popular as Trump in Florida, but Mike Pence still needs to run up the numbers in Florida and flip the state because he definitely needs to keep Florida in order to win the election without the Rust Belt. North Carolina, another state that's shifting to the Democratic Party. He needs to win through suburban votes, through white voters. In 2020, it was a blue year because Joe Biden improved with white voters. Trump improved with Hispanics. What Mike Pence needs to do is improve with white voters and Hispanics. Because he cannot just improve with Hispanic voters. He's not going to win the election. Trump did that. He didn't win. He needs to improve with white voters white voters and Hispanic voters if he wants to be able to win this area. Because in order to improve with, Ohio could go blue because of its African-American turnout. That's why Obama won the state. Same thing with Iowa. Iowa voted pretty blue, but Ohio has much more African-American turnout. So does North Carolina and Georgia. So Pence needs to carry these states. And that would automatically put him at 252. He's not there yet, but he's getting close. Arizona. He wins Maricopa County. Maricopa County is very important. Trump lost it by 2 percentage points. If Mike Pence can get these suburban voters in Scottsdale and Mesa and Tempe and Glendale, in Goodyear, he can win these voters, by about 10, 15, 20% margin. He wins Arizona. It doesn't matter what the margin is because the United States is a win-take-all system. You win by 1 vote, you take everything. So in order for Mike Pence, he has to carry Arizona. If we do the math, Arizona will take him all the way to 264. Now there's really 2 states, but one of them is optional. Nevada is definitely a must-win state for Mike Pence. He wins Nevada, Mike Pence wins. He wins the election. If I characterize these states for Mike Pence right now, there we go, 270. Now, this is basically his plan. He needs to win these states. And there's another one that's sort of optional. New Hampshire. We'll give him a better shot at the presidency. He doesn't need to win New Hampshire. But New Hampshire will definitely give him a better shot at the presidency. He will win New Hampshire, it'll get him to 274 electoral votes. This is Mike Pence's plan. He needs to win the states that Donald Trump won. But he also needs to win Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, and possibly New Hampshire. Because if he doesn't, then Mike Pence is doomed. And he's not going to win the election with these states. Without these states, 270 plus New Hampshire, 274. He needs to carry these states because these are very important states for Mike Pence. He's probably not going to carry them by big margins, but he needs to. He needs to win them by, it doesn't need to be a specific margin, but he needs to carry these states in order to win the election. Because 2024 is going to be very competitive. In order for him to win without the Rust Belt, if Mike Pence doesn't win the Rust Belt, he needs another strategy through the Sun Belt. He needs to pick up Nevada, Arizona, Texas, Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, Ohio, Iowa, and New Hampshire, and he wins the election. Even without New Hampshire, I can characterize it as blue, and he wins. You win the election, it doesn't matter what margin you do, but you won. Once you reach that 270 mark, you can't go back. So this is basically Mike Pence's plan. He has to go over Nevada, Arizona, Texas, Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, solidify his base there in New Hampshire. Without the Rust Belt, he can win the election. You don't need the Rust Belt, but it's also always preferred to have the Rust Belt because you never know if Nevada goes blue, Mike Pence loses the election. He doesn't win without Nevada. So it's very important for Mike Pence to make sure that he's solidifying his base, campaigning in these states. Because it's not going to be a big margin. And he's probably not going to be able to solidify his base on the Rust Belt because of Mike Pence is not that businessman and Trump figure who's just going to come in and he's going to flip Michigan red after 8 years before him. In 2008, Obama won the state of Michigan by 17 percentage points. That was safe. That was safe for Obama. 8 years later, Donald Trump flips it. 18 percentage points to the right. That's not easy. So definitely Mike Pence, in order for him to win the election, he needs another plan. So anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like down below. Comment if you guys like me to change my political content. And click that bell to receive notifications daily. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.